Major Paul Collis-Smith of the Blues and Royals, directing the band of the Household Cavalry. He's director of music. And another look at Apollo and Juno, the drum horses, carrying those very heavy, solid silver kettle drums. As we enjoy the magnificent sight and sound of the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery riding now onto the parade ground, I'm delighted to welcome Major Vicky Fraser, a former commanding officer of the King's Troop, with her expert knowledge of the parade and all the preparations that go towards it. Vicky, it's lovely to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. With all the long and patient wait for the King's Troop, how does this moment feel?
Good morning, Huw. Well, this moment, of course, you're trying to subdue your excitement, but the commanding officer, Fran Sykes, will be thinking about her pacing, her speed, and also just quickly running through the words of command. The soldiers will be trying to wake up their horses, who would have no doubt have nodded off in the time that they've been waiting to step off. But all the while, they're thinking about their dressing and keeping it exact as they go past His Majesty the King.
Well, they are, as ever, looking extremely smart. They're looking very, very sharp. Important for us to underline once again, as Major Fran Sykes leads the King's Troop, that the guns, these historic guns, are the colour, are they not, Vicky? And that is the significance of the guns in this march past and this ride past.
They really are, Huw. The guns for us are extremely special. These guns date back from the battlefields of World War I, where they were salvaged. They are indeed uninsurable, but they also have no brakes. So the horses that you see pulling them, and the closest ones to the guns, have very big bottoms. So they're used for slowing down the guns and for stopping them. But yeah, the greatest of care is taken over them to get them not only in working order, but to keep them looking absolutely pristine.
Well, they do indeed. Blues and Royals slow march. Household Cavalry taking part now. Two regiments of the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment, the Blues and Royals, whose Colonel, the Princess Royal, is on parade today, just there on the left, as is the Colonel of the Life Guards, Sir Edward Smith Osborne. Interesting to see, Vicky, because lots of people ask us every year about the uniforms and the gold braid and what that denotes.
That's right, Huw. So yes, the House of Cavalry tend to wear an awful lot of gold, but it does have a historic significance. So the higher up the rank you are, the more responsibility you hold. So for example, on today's parade is the divisional commander, Captain Lizzie Godwin, and she would have the responsibility of 24 horses. And in times gone past, that would mean she would have to tie up 24 horses, whereas the section commander would only have 4 horses under his responsibility, and so therefore would only have to have enough rope for 4 horses.
There you have the definitive answer there from Vicky, so that all the questions you put in over the years have been finally answered to perfection. The farriers with their glinting axes. The field officer's trumpeter, Lance Corporal Charles Clark, sounding the trot past. Trumpeter traditionally riding next to the commanding officer, always on a grey horse. There we see Charles just coming around there. Grey horse, of course, could be seen more easily on the battlefield among all the black horses. Today's riding Otto, who's 13 and has been with the Household Cavalry since 2013. So the King's Troop, once again in prominent position. And Vicky, a word about Fran Sykes, because of course she succeeded you as commanding officer and she will be leaving very soon.
That's right, Huw. This is her last parade in command, so this is a very poignant moment for her. But yeah, Fran and I go way back, I should say. We went through training together.
Which is based at Woolwich, and 75 horses on parade today. Standard of the Blues and Royals. His Majesty will acknowledge the standard, which remains at the carry during the trot past. The King and the Prince of Wales there. And as Colonel of the Blues and Royals, the Princess Royal, who's here, has played an important role in the coronation of her brother earlier this year, and she led the Household Cavalry from Westminster Abbey to Buckingham Palace. Life Guards in their dazzling scarlet tunics. Director of Music, Polly Smith, band of the Household Cavalry, kettle drummers crossing their sticks in salute. And a word here, Vicky, maybe about Apollo and Juno. I mentioned their Pembrokeshire roots, but they really are stars of this parade.
Yes, they're both Apollo and Juno, as you mentioned, came from the same farm in Wales. But the House of Cavalry have 4 drum horses in total. And you would have noticed they are the biggest, most enormous horses on parade. But again, this has historical roots in that the band and the drum horses would be the first thing coming over the horizon that the opposing forces would see. And therefore, they would be sort of frightened into submission.
Well, seeing the size of them, I'm not surprised that people are frightened into submission. And this is the lovely scene just a few days ago when the Queen was presenting Juno, I think, with, well, a new set of insignia. It was a lovely scene that we saw just a few weeks ago before today's parade. And here they are, very much in presence. Director of Music preparing to turn inwards to signal that he's handing back control to the field officer. There.
Guards! Royal salute! Present! Arms! Guards, in close order, left and right, dress! Guards will form 3 ranks. Form 3 ranks. Guards will retire. About 10. At the halt, by division, right form. Quick march.
What's happening now is that the Guards are closing up to reduce the length of the procession that follows along the Mall back to Buckingham Palace. Very familiar music is the Adjutant by Burkitt. Because the formal parade here is just about over, Henry, but of course there's more work to come.
Yeah, there is. John will now ask leave to fall out and march the troops back to Buckingham Palace. And of course, they've got to march back, and then actually the escort now will form the guard at Buckingham Palace. So for the men and women in the guard today on the escort, they will march back to Buckingham Palace and take over as today's guard, and then spend 24 hours guarding the palace. So a long day ahead still for certainly the escort and most on parade as well.
And there is, of course, some unfinished business.
Yes, so Court Latimer march back on, and give the Sergeant Major his pace stick back. Sergeant Major now recovers his sword because his role in protecting the colour is done. And then Court Asamo will take his place with the Guard as well as they march back.
Guards! Left! Dress!
And here, if we just keep an eye there to the right, the left guide of the escort, Colour Sergeant Small, moved out there. All the Guards can see him, and when he drops his arm, it's the signal then to all 6 Guards. It's done.
Shoulder! Arms!
And at the very far end of the parade ground, you can see some movement there, because this gentleman is Garrison Sergeant Major Andrew Stokes, better known as Vern Stokes. We must congratulate him today, not just on an excellent parade, but because he is one of those who's received one of the birthday honours. He's been given the OBE for all the work he's done over the past year with the events that we've had. We'll say a little more about that shortly. Here's the field officer once again asking His Majesty this time for permission to march off. So permission has been given. That brings the formal part of the birthday parade of 2023 to an end, though, as I say, there's plenty of celebrating yet to come.